Hello students, we are meeting for the next lecture of thermal methods of analysis, and in the last lecture we have discussed the different types of thermal methods of analysis, and in this chapter we are going to discuss only TGA and DTA. In the last lecture we have seen the principle behind the TGA, the types of TGA, then the instruments used for TGA, and then construction of that TGA. Now we'll see the TG curves, that is thermogravimetric curves. The results obtained from programmed operation of thermobalance are represented in thermogravimetric curve or TG curve, or it is called as thermogram. This is the example of that TG curve. From TG curve, one can draw very useful information. What is the useful information that you can draw from a TG curve? The horizontal portion, that is plateau, you can see here. This is the plateau region, and this is the weight loss region. Again, this is one more plateau region. Region. Okay, this plateau region indicate the regions where there is no change in the weight. Obviously, this is the graph, simple graph, where on the y-axis there is weight, on x-axis there is temperature. If this is a plane, obviously what is going to happen? There is no change in the weight, means there is no change taking place. It means that the substance is stable up to that temperature. For example, if you start here T1, okay, and the change started at T2, so in this T1 to T2 the substance is stable, and T2 to T3 it is changing, again T3 onwards up to T4 it is stable. Okay, that is the very important information you can get. The curved portion indicate the weight loss. Here in the graph itself it is indicated. This part T2 to T3 indicate the weight loss. Okay, now this weight loss is very important from our point of view, because this weight loss gives you qualitative as well as quantitative information. Then additional information that can be drawn from the TG curve is that how much weight loss is by hitting a sample at given temperature. Okay, from this information one can determine the composition of compound and also follow the reactions involved in the decomposition. Okay, means here I will draw a TG curve at my own. Suppose here I am drawing the TG curve for I will draw it here. I will draw a TG curve. Okay, on this side there is weight, there is a temperature. Okay, so let us suppose it starts somewhere here. Okay, then here, then again one more graph, and here, and this is the graph for silver chromate AgCrO4, and okay, these undergo decomposition to give silver, to give silver plus oxygen gas is released. Okay, so here what is happening actually? Plus AgCrO4. Okay, so this is the reaction. Now this change is taking place at 92 degrees Celsius, whereas this change starts at 812 degrees Celsius, which goes up to 945 degrees Celsius. Okay, so this is a typical thermogravimetric curve for silver chromate. Okay, here one can understand that from the 812 to 945 degrees Celsius, this reaction is going on because there is a loss of oxygen molecule or oxygen gas is evolved. So in this way, either qualitatively or quantitatively, the analysis can be done using thermogravimetric curve. Okay, that is very important. Okay, so this is actually the output of TGA analysis. Okay, because this information you have to interpret so that you will understand the quantity as well as quality of the substance or the chemical changes which are taking place at different temperature. Now we'll see the factors affecting thermogravimetric curves. Okay, means this thermogravimetric curve we have seen, but what are the factors that may affect positively or negatively the formation of thermogravimetric curve? In that, first there are two factors. One is instrumental. Instrumental means which creates the error sometimes. So first in that instrumental, first is heating rate. Heating rate is very important. Means if substance is heated at faster rate, what will happen? Normally you do this, you must have experience that in lab you are asked to find out the melting point. Very simple example I am giving. The same thing happens here also. You are asked to find the melting point. You fill up in the capillary, attach it to the thermometer, dipped in the Thales tube, and you start heating. If you heat it very strongly or at the faster rate, what happens? The substance means the temperature change take place very rapidly. Means the thermometer, the mercury in the thermometer rises very fastly, and the heat supply is not that much sufficient. Then what happens? Substance melts, but by the time you see the substance melt, when you try to watch the reading for temperature, it has gone beyond the melting point. So this error comes because of very fast heating. So whenever you are using a fast heating rate in TGA analysis, what happens? It decomposes at higher temperature, while if it is heated at slower rate, it decomposes at lower temperature. Actually it decomposes when it is going to decompose, but the reading is measured at higher temperature because you are heating very fastly. Okay, for example, polystyrene. If you take a polystyrene, uh, polystyrene is this one. This is polystyrene, CH2, and this is that polymer. Okay, this is the polymer n times, this is that unit. If this is heated, then it decomposes at 394 degrees Celsius. Okay, when it is at the heated at the rate, okay, 5 degrees per minute, and it decomposes, means when it is a fast, at faster rate it decomposes at 390 degrees Celsius, and if it is heated slowly, then it decomposes at 375 degrees Celsius. Okay, here the rate is 5 degrees Celsius per minute. Okay, and here 1 degree Celsius per minute. So at slower rate, there is a uniform heating, and the change in the change in the weight can be noted effectively, or you can say accurately. Then second instrumental error is furnace atmosphere. Furnace atmosphere. What is furnace atmosphere? Means you can use hot air, small normal atmosphere, or you can use atmosphere saturated with carbon dioxide, or you can use nitrogen. Different gases can be there, but which atmosphere is used, that is that decides the decomposition temperature. For example, if you take the decomposition of calcium carbonate, if you take the decomposition of calcium carbonate, it decomposes at higher temperature when the atmosphere is saturated with carbon dioxide. Okay, and if it is it decomposes at lower temperature when it is a nitrogen atmosphere. The furnace atmosphere is kept according to the nature of the sample. Generally, one of the following furnace atmosphere is used in the thermogrametric study. What is that? One is static air. Static means which is not dynamic. In this case, air from the atmosphere is allowed to flow through the furnace. Okay, that is the static air. Then second is dynamic air. So in this dynamic air, here compressed air from cylinder is allowed to pass through the furnace at measured flow rate. Means static means there is no pressure from outside so that air will be flown fast, but in the dynamic method it is compressed so that it will be passed through the furnace at faster rate. And third is inert atmosphere. Third is inert atmosphere. In this inert atmosphere, obviously nitrogen gas is used, which is free from oxygen. Inert means here, though there is a rise in temperature, it won't come in contact with oxygen, so that there will be oxidation will take place. So depending on what do we expect, what change may take place, depending on that you can change the furnace atmosphere. Then next instrumental error is sample holder. Sample holder. What happens to the sample holder? I told you in the construction of or while discussing the instrumentation of thermobalance, I told you it should be flat bottom. Okay, suppose if you take a triangular sample holder like this, suppose here there is a your sample, or sample holder like this. What happens? Unnecessary, when substance is heated, suppose gas is trapped here and it tries to come out, it will require more energy unnecessary, and this evolution of gas will be recorded at higher temperature. Unnecessarily this error will be generated. But if you are using say flat bottom sample holder, and if you keep it here, immediately as soon as whatever is going to come out, that will be come out without any hurdle, so that the temperature at which this change take place is recorded accurately. Okay, so that is the important thing. So therefore the shape and size of sample holder can change the nature of TG curve. Sample holders in the form of flat plates or crucibles are in use. Generally, a shallow dish is preferred to other shapes because it ensures more uniform heating and rapid exchange of gases between sample and surrounding atmosphere. Means here you can say narrow type of sample holders are not useful. Okay, then other points which other factors which will affect the thermogrametric curve, because if these are the factors which are hurdle in recording the observations. Okay, and if observations are wrong, obviously what happens, your curve is going to be indicating something else. Then next further errors, here I will write instrumental errors as A. Then B is the errors due to sample. So what are those errors? Then first is weight of sample. How it creates the problem? A smaller weight of sample gives better results than the larger weight, which causes deviation from linear curve of weight loss. The same example which I have given at the beginning of this slide, that is example of melting point. In the capillary, you suppose this is the capillary, okay, this is the capillary, and in this capillary if you take this much substance, that is okay. Sometimes student fill up to here. Obviously, to time required to melt small quantity and time required to melt large quantity is different, and between that time period temperature rises rapidly, so the melting point will not be recorded accurately. Therefore here sample weight means less the quantity of sample, more accurate results will be obtained. Okay, so that is going to affect the your thermogravimetric curve. Second factor is particle size. Particle size is also important, because particle size is going to affect the weight. Actually powder weight of a 1 gram powder and weight of a 1 gram of lump is same, but if particle size is smaller, very fine, so the change will take place at a smaller level. Means here this same factor is affecting the rate of reaction. Rate of reaction affected by particle size. If smaller is the particle, reaction will take place faster. In the same way here also chemical changes are going to take place, so therefore particle size is very important. So here if you are using a fine powder, you will get a good result. Fine powdered particle size gives you good results, errorless results. Okay, that is very important. Then third important factor is heat of reaction. Heat of reaction means how it affects. For example, suppose you are heating the sample. What happens in this process? Suppose a gas, some gas is evolved, but this evolution of gas is taking place exothermically. Okay, so what happens? We are measuring the temperature of the furnace, okay, energy supplied by furnace, but here the energy is supplied from the reactions which are taking place inside the sample, and that changes the supply of energy, which changes the temperature. Okay, therefore heat of reaction, if it is exothermic, then it changes the temperature of the sample, and the temperature of furnace will be different. If the reaction is exothermic, the temperature of sample is more than the same temperature of furnace. So on the other hand, if the reaction is endothermic, the temperature of sample is less than the temperature of furnace. So here what happens, if there is no uniform temperature, that is if the temperature of furnace and temperature of sample is not same, then obviously it is going to affect the thermogravimetry curve. So that is very important from accuracy point of view, that you should know what changes are taking place. Okay, then fourth point to be considered for as a factor to affect the thermogravimetric curve is compactness of sample. A compressed sample will decompose at higher temperature. Actually this is the same as that of particle size. Okay, I will write here as it is mentioned here, but it is the same thing. Particle size and compactness are one and the same. Means if it is a powdered form, obviously it is less compact and you will get the good result. If it is more compact, it is not powdered form, so obviously you are not going to get the good result, because due to compactness of the substance, to decompose a particular substance you need to supply more energy. More energy means more temperature. So if the substance is compact, obviously the decomposition or whatever chemical change is going to take place, that will take place at higher temperature. That is very important. So any change, you should take into account the compactness or the particle size. And the last is source of sample. Source of sample means from where your analyte is collected. Okay, if the sample is derived from two different sources, its decomposition temperature is different. Okay, for example, if you prepare your analyte by two different method, one method you are getting amorphous sample, where while by other method you are getting crystalline sample, what will happen? Obviously both will require the different temperature for the decomposition reaction. Here one example is given. If magnesium hydroxide is obtained by precipitation method and from the natural source, that they decompose at two different temperature, because their structure of the substance is different. It may be amorphous, it may be crystalline, though the content is same, but the nature is different. So it requires a different energy, and it will take indicate the different temperature at which the reaction changes are taking place. So these are the various factors which affect the thermogravimetric analysis. So as far as instrumental errors are there, you can avoid those errors so that you will get the accurate and correct result. Then as far as sample error due to characteristics of sample are there, you can up to some extent you can control that. For example, sample you take the sample size less, means take a small quantity of sample, then as far as possible use the powdered form of the sample, that is a particle size or you can say compactness. Then the source of sample, if you know the source of sample, you can specifically mention why there is, for the same change, why there is a two different curves or two different temperatures are indicated. But if you have heat of reaction, okay, then it is going to affect, you cannot control. But in the analysis you can mention that due to exothermic or endothermic, whatever kind of reaction is taking place, there is the error. Okay, so considering all these things, you can make a errorless interpretation, or you can record the errorless thermogravimetric curves. Okay, then next is applications of TGA. Applications of TGA are very simple and very useful. As I told you, this technique is used qualitatively as well as quantitatively. In that, first is determination of purity and thermal stability of both primary and secondary standards using volumetric analysis. Okay, so you can determine the purity of the samples and thermal stability, because these chemicals are used as a primary and secondary standards in as a primary and secondary standard chemicals in volumetric analysis. Okay, so here you can measure the purity, that is you can say quality, and you can measure the stability, purity and stability. How it is useful, that we'll see separately. Then second application is determination of correct drying temperature and the stability of various weighing forms of gravimetric analysis. Means TGA is very useful for determination of correct drying temperature. Means here you can use this method to find out in which case dehydration reaction, at which temperature accurately the dehydration of a particular substance will take place. Knowing that, you can control the further reactions of that substance. Then its suitability for various weighing forms of the gravimetric analysis. Then next means here correct drying temperature. I will write here correct correct sorry, here you can write correct drying temperature, correct drying temperature. Then next is determination of composition of complex mixture, means composition of mixture can be done. I told you the example of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate. Okay, that same experiment you performed in the FY level, so you go back and revise that experiment. That will tell you the how you can find the composition of a mixture. Then suitable ignition temperature. Here ignition temperature suitable. What is ignition temperature? Ignition temperature means the temperature at which oxidation taking place. Actually, burning is oxidation. To burn a substance, when a substance burns, it the chemical reaction which is taking place is a oxidation. So the temperature at which this oxidation starts is called as the ignition temperature. And the last application is direct application to analytical problems. Okay, to solve the analytical problems. So all how they are useful we'll see one by one with example. So thermogravimetric analysis is very important as far as assessment of purity is concerned. Okay, for example, you can take in the volumetric analysis, suppose potassium hydrogen thalate is used. Okay, we'll see here example for first application, potassium hydrogen thalate is used. Okay, potassium hydrogen thalate is used, or sodium carbonate, sodium tetraborate. These primary standards have little tendency to absorb water when exposed to moist atmosphere, so they are hygroscopic in nature, and therefore TGA data gives the extent to which water absorption has taken place and also gives the idea about the correct drying temperature for particular reagent. Means here suppose you are using potassium hydrogen thalate, which is used as a primary standard. This, if it is already exposed to moist air, it may absorb the water, so it is no longer a pure. So to check the purity of that primary standard, if you carry out the TGA analysis with the temperature, it will lose the absorbed water, so that you can find out the you can correlate the loss in weight with the amount of water absorbed by potassium hydrogen thalate. So in this way you can use it for purity and stability of the substance. Next application is correct drying temperature. The thermal stability of compounds like EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, as a free acid and also as a disodium salt can be determined by TGA. Means EDTA is acid, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. All of you know it is a hexadentate ligand which is used for estimation of calcium and magnesium or hardness of water in many application, estimation of aluminum also. So this EDTA is used, and its salt with sodium, that is disodium EDTA, is also used. So if dehydration of disodium starts at 100 to 125 degrees Celsius, then the salt can be safely heated at constant weight at 80 degrees Celsius. Means if you want to dry a particular sample, and if you know its correct drying temperature, then you can heat it, that substance, below that drying temperature. Means after that drying temperature it may undergo dehydration. Okay, so to avoid that, to know the correct drying temperature, knowledge of correct drying temperature is very important. Then third application is in the TG curve gives information about drying temperature of precipitate obtained in the gravimetric analysis. The suitable ignition temperature of compound can be determined. For example, TG curve of copper sulfate. Okay, 5 times H2O. This example I have given at the beginning of this chapter. If you heat the copper sulfate, already there are 5 water molecules which are responsible for the blue color of copper sulfate. When you heat it, you will lose the water, and you will the copper sulfate will turn to white. So for example, Tg curve of copper sulfate is shown in this figure. The pentahydrate of copper sulfate on heating get reduced to cuprous oxide as shown in figure. Means from 90 to 150, 4 water molecules are lost. 200 to 275, one more water molecule is lost. Then 700 to 900, sulfur dioxide gas is evolved, and from 1000 to 1100, oxygen is lost. Okay, so these are the various changes that are taking place when in the thermogrametric analysis. So here uh, you can understand this qualitatively, the which reactions are taking place. It can be seen from the thermogrammetric analysis curve that anhydrous copper sulfate is formed at 275. Means at 275 all the 5 molecules are water molecules are lost, and cuprous oxide is formed at 100 degree Celsius. Okay, so depending on the requirements of copper sulfate is ignited at appropriate temperature. Means now you know at which temperature dehydration will take place, at which temperature it will be converted to cuprous oxide. So everything you know. So once you know this correct information, you can use copper sulfate in the proper temperature range for its application. Next application is that TJ curve gives correct information about decomposition stages of compound. The TG curve for decomposition of hydrated calcium oxalate and magnesium oxalates are indicated in the curve. You can see here the first curve is for calcium oxalate and second curve is for magnesium oxalate. So from this graph, what do you observe? The two water molecules are lost between 100 degree Celsius to 250. Then second loss takes place from 400 to 500, that it loses carbon monoxide. You can see here. Okay, here this is the first stage. Okay, where loss of water molecule is taking place. Okay, in the second stage what is happening? Carbon monoxide is lost, and in the third stage what is happening? CO2 is lost. So at different temperature these different reactions are taking place, and at the end you are going to get calcium oxide. Whereas if you take magnesium oxalate from 176 to 233, or you can say 100 to 250, water molecules are lost, same as that of the earlier one. But in the second stage 400 to 500, in this range only, both carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide both are lost due to decomposition between this change, and you get the magnesium oxide. Means both are oxalate salts. This is calcium oxalate, this is magnesium oxalate, but calcium oxalate decompose in 3 steps. In 3 steps, means at 3 temperature, whereas magnesium oxalate decompose in the 2 steps. Okay, at 2 different temperatures. Okay, so from TGA curve you can understand the chemical reactions which are taking place at different temperature. Means for magnesium oxalate both carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide loss take place within a step, whereas for calcium oxalate it takes in 2 steps. So this can be this can be learned from the TGA curve. And the last application for TGA curve can be used to determine composition of binary mixture. Okay, I have given the example of this. One more example is also given in the book. For example, mixture of calcium and strontium carbonate. they decompose to their oxide with evolution of carbon dioxide gas. Okay, so here I will write calcium carbonate and strontium carbonate, both decompose, okay, to their oxide like this. This is also decomposing to strontium oxide plus carbon dioxide. Both are evolving these gases. Okay, now here what happens? Calcium carbonate decompose at between the temperature range 650 to 850 degree Celsius, whereas strontium carbonate decompose at 950 to 1150 degree Celsius. So if you mix these two, suppose there is a mixture of calcium carbonate plus strontium carbonate. Okay, you know the decomposition temperature of calcium carbonate, you know the decomposition temperature of strontium carbonate. What you do, mixture of these is there, then heat it between the range 650 to 850 only. Only this will decompose, calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide, and strontium carbonate will remain as it is. So this loss indicated in the form of loss in weight. Okay, and this can be correlated to amount of CO2. This can be correlated to amount of CO2, and from amount of CO2 you can find the amount of calcium carbonate, and then you can find the amount of strontium carbonate. So these are the various applications of thermogravimetric analysis. Okay, so here we'll stop. If you have any queries, again I am repeating, you can post it on Google Classroom. You can ask me. Your queries, doubts and difficulties are always welcome. Thank you.